Hello everyone. In honor of 100 subscribers, I'm doing a bit of a special video here. I decided I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson on myself. Um, where I've come from, my background, all that kind of stuff. What led me to this point? What got me to the point where I wanted to write music professionally? Just that kind of stuff. I also I have some footage of the very first song I ever wrote. So to start us off, my family is all Scottish. Obviously, I don't live in Scotland, but as far as blood goes, I'm more Scottish than anything else. And that's kind of a key point to this history lesson here, because most of what got me to this point has to do with that. At 7 years old, I started playing violin, and at the time, I just I don't know. I was more curious than anything. I didn't see a foreseeable future in violin, and I didn't see a profession. It was more a hobby because I thought, wow, this instrument sounds good. And of course, being that my family is all Scottish, I was used to the Celtic sound of music. So naturally, once I got started, I kind of started messing around on the violin in Celtic styles. And that's what kind of led to what I'm going to talk about next, which is the festivals. I don't remember which festival I went to first, but I do have some clips from a few of them. The earliest I could find is a festival from 2009. I'm pretty sure this is the first footage that I could find, unless I'm mistaken about the other one. It always gets messed up in my mind. Regardless, this is some of the earliest footage I could find of myself playing. Before I get to it, though, let me warn you that I am in a kilt. I'm sure we all know what a kilt is. If not, I will explain it to you. It's traditional Scottish men's men's clothing. I gotta point that out. In modern day, it resembles a skirt. I'm well aware of that. But I was very proud of my history, my heritage. So every time we went to these festivals, I got myself into a kilt, played the violin, all that good stuff. So I was wearing a kilt. My tartan, the pattern on the kilt is Royal Stuart, which, fun fact, I would not be able to wear in Scotland because it's the tartan of the royal family. That's a long story as far as why that's my tartan, my family tartan, but whatever. I don't need to go into every detail in this video. So here's the footage. As you can see, I was a young lad, and I know there were a few festivals before this, because in 2009, let's see, I would have been playing for a couple years by then. I don't think that was the first one I ever played, because I distinctly remember others, but that's the first one I could find, like I said. I remember being asked to go to these festivals all the time, all the time. To this day, I don't know if it was because I was good at playing the violin, or if it was just that I was the only young kid in Oklahoma willing to get into a kilt. Because, believe me, it got embarrassing sometimes. But I had fun with it. I had tons of fun with it. And that was, that was what I did back then. Now, eventually, after a few festivals, I got tired of playing the songs that other people had written, Regardless of how fun it was to play Lanigan's Ball 400 times per per festival, uh, I decided I wanted to play my own music for once. So, I messed around for a while and I wrote a song. The video will correct me, but I believe I called it "School's Out" because I was a young kid. That's just that was what I came up with as a title. So, "School's Out" was my first song before I even wanted to write music, and I'm gonna let that play. I'm also gonna let it play for another song that I played back then all the time. I can't remember what it was called. I've looked. I also can't understand what I'm saying in this video. It was just too poor quality. So I'll let it play through that as well.
I'm going to play a tune I made up myself. I called it School's Out. Next, I'll play a song called From the New Country.
But yeah, I went to these festivals all the time, and these just I don't know. I guess it was just that I grew up in it, but they were a grand old time. They were fun, pretty subtle. I thoroughly enjoyed them. They were great. I distinctly remember a few festivals that I went to where I actually came back with quite a profit as well. There was one that happened in Tulsa all the time. I say all the time, but it was once a year. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was a festival in Tulsa, and I'd go up there with my violin case, just kind of set it out and jam out, and people would throw me donations. And I mean, when I say donations, I probably left that place with $40, but keep in mind I was like 10 or 11, so $40 was quite a haul. Like, I was rich. Um, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed that stuff. So after I wrote School's Out, I decided, you know what? I really like hearing my own music being played. And a couple years later, I started writing music digitally, and I am I am not gonna I'm not gonna play that stuff because it was something else. Um, it was painful. I'll just say that. but it was a starting point, and that's really what led me to what I'm doing now. And if you pay attention to, especially a lot of my recent music, I've been trying to keep the Celtic style in tradition, you know. One more thing I will mention: I was in a few news articles and things. I could only find one of them. I know I was in another, more of like a magazine type article, but I did find this one article, and I guess I don't even remember this, but I guess this person, was writing an article and visited the Robert Burns night. They talk about haggis, and it's quite an acquired taste. I've always loved haggis. Maybe it's just because I've grown up in this kind of stuff, but I love haggis. I don't care what anybody says; it's delicious. But this is the part we actually care about here today. The highlight of the entertainment, though, was William Ellis. The 10-year-old stole the show with his violin playing. You can't compete with a kid in a kilt. To this day, when looking at this article, I can't exactly tell if the point was that the kilt is what got me into the article, or if it really was the violin. Whatever, it happened. I was in a news article, and I can find this one. I'm going to link this article in the description if you want to read through the rest of it. It's pretty short. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. So enough of the history lessoning. I hope you guys aren't too bored. The next portion of this video is a remake of my first song, School's Out. I decided to, use my current knowledge and skill to remake the song, and I have a little video of me playing it. I don't know what else to talk about. That's pretty much it. It's just that I have a lot of Scottish history. I can't think of anything else to add. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the following clip of me playing the remake of School's Out, and that's about it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in the part of the show where I actually play the music. I hope I didn't bore all of you to death with the history lesson. One thing I will mention, is that I'm not too familiar with playing on camera, so I've got my boy Godzilla over here. He's gonna kind of sit with me for moral support today. This is Godzilla from GMK 2001, if anybody asks. Probably won't. Whatever. I'm gonna get a sip of coffee here. And, yeah, that's about it. Whew! Got through one without messing up. I like it. Well, whew. Wahoo! Yahoo! Yahoo! I actually did it.